What's up, everyone? It is Bill, and you're tuned into the Pennsylvania Rock Show, episode number 804. We're coming at you from AK Music Scene Studios. I was going to rattle off all kinds of radio stations. I decided on the way home that I wasn't going to do that, so I'm not going to do that. That said, with me tonight as my guest is Skip Shaffer. What's up, Skip?
Hey, Bill. Nice to see you, brother.
You as well. So, Skip, kind of give an introduction to yourself because you've been out of the scene for a while. So there's going to be a lot of people that are looking at you going, I'm not sure I know who that is.
Yeah, and then there'll be the other people that go, holy hell, that dinosaur is still alive. Yeah, I came up in the valley in the 70s. First band I was actually called DT Grift, was based out of Vandergrift. Lenny Collini and I founded that one. After high school, I went into a band called Magnum, was a southern rock band out of Ford City. We did a lot of shows up in that area all the way up into Brookville. And then when southern rock shifted and classic rock kind of wasn't classic at the time, it was cutting edge, but it was more heavy metal rock and roll type stuff. I put together a band called Crusader, had some all-star players in that I'm still in touch with. In fact, some of those guys still come into the studio and help me with stuff I'm creating today. Left here in 1983 and went to Southern California in Orange County. Got involved in the music scene out there. Watched and enjoyed the Sunset Circuit on Sunset Strip. And just watched the music scene disintegrate with how it was operating and the underhanded stuff that went on. I mean, it was always a less than honorable business, but it really went sideways in the 80s. And got back home. Let's see, I went from there to Jersey, stayed in Jersey for a couple of years, got back home when my grandfather was passing away. My dad was sick and never left. I started working ridiculous hours, changed careers, and recently retired last year. And decided to put my studio back together and get back to doing what I love the most, which is making music. So I opened the doors, called a bunch of my friends and said, listen, man, the door's open. If you guys want to come and record, it doesn't cost you anything. I can play on your tracks. I can help you write your tracks. I can sit here and just engineer and be quiet, whatever you need, but let's have some fun. And that's where I'm at.
So even in the past, you did a lot of collaborating, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably in my life only wrote maybe 3 songs solely on my own until I put the studio together this time. And now I've got a couple that I've done all the writing. But yeah, and I've always enjoyed collaborating. People, when you write it yourself, you love it yourself. You don't know what anybody else hears or feels or thinks. And so when you collaborate, especially at this age where you're not dealing with any of the attitudes or problems that you have when you were 16 and 18 and 20. You get a very honest feedback, and it's like, man, this hook it could be stronger, or this chorus just doesn't really rock the way it should based on the rest of the song. And you sit back and you rewrite it and you go at it again. And I've played ping pong 7 and 8 times, especially on I Own the Road. 3 of us sitting here rewriting words. Oh God, I want to say probably 15 times. And it came out well, in my opinion, and all 3 of us agreed that it was a rocker that was worth keeping. And so that's how that panned out.
So we're going to talk about I Own the Road in a little bit, but that reminded me that I forgot to mention the songs we already heard at the top of the show. So we heard from Brain Dead by Sunday and their song Passion for Sin. They are a Pennsylvania band, sorry. And that was it. Usually I play 2, but that's it for this show. 1 at the top. So Brain Dead. I Own the Road. Go ahead and talk about that a little bit. We have some time. I might be brain dead.
I thought you were talking to me. Yeah, I mean, it started out as a concept song. That song actually started out as a joke. The guy that sang lead vocals on that was Ed Hughes, and Ed and I go back 40 years. But I wrote it as a joke for him because every time he'd say, hey, I'll come over and we'll record or we'll write, he ended up golfing. And so that song actually started out called The 19th Hole. that explains the first massive rewrite of the lyrics, because we both felt that the music was strong enough that it merited doing something serious opposed to the joke that it began with. And so it just evolved from that.
Ed was Ed was at the second episode of this podcast way back on September 21st, 2004. He was one of the handful of musicians that were here, and his attic was actually the first place that the Pennsylvania Rock Show broadcast from that wasn't my living room. We did a cat scratch
And I told him I was doing
studio.
He never said a word about it. He's such a hoser.
I couldn't tell you what episode number it was, but it was very first time that we broadcast it that wasn't from my living room, was in his attic.
Well, he's always been quite the guy, and he's certainly not the guy he was 30 years ago, that's for sure. But his vocal skills have come full circle, man. I mean, he could really belt them out
now. So I'm going to hit you with the first of my Pennsylvania Rock Show build a scene questions. What is the best pizza you've had because you're a musician?
You know, I got to be honest, man. I have a serious fondness for Papa John's, but the wife and I tried a pizza shop that's just down the street from us here recently. God, I can't remember the name of it, and it's right off of 286, and they have a deep dish that's to die for. Can't hear you, Bill. There you go.
Yeah, you said right off of 286.
Yeah, it's I could yell upstairs and she'd come down and tell me how old and senile I am, but I just don't want to be that embarrassed.
It's not that like Lulu or something like that.
No, it's when you come in 286, you come down past the Dairy Queen. It's on the right hand side there.
Oh, I know where you mean. It used to be a KinderCare.
KinderCare's right behind it.
Okay, yeah, I know where you mean. I can't think of the name of it either.
Their deep dish pizza is incredible, man.
So it's the pizza place in Holiday Park right by KinderCare. We don't know the name.
There you go. Don't get senile. I mean old.
I'm going to ask you the second official question. So the question is, who's your Dave Grohl? And what I mean by that is, who do you want to go up on stage with and perform one of their songs?
I can't, man. He just died. That would have been Ozzy Osbourne.
Any song in particular?
Any song that the guy, I never saw a guy that could just come up with stuff out of thin air. I don't know that he ever recorded a song I didn't like. And he's played with monster guitarist after monster guitarist after monster guitarist.
It definitely had a knack for finding them.
A neat little tidbit, right? So if you go on YouTube and you look up Circus Magazine, Randy Rhoads, the picture that's on that cover from the symposium that Randy did in Greensburg is me standing there with Randy holding his cream-colored Les Paul. And the autograph that he gave me became one of the most famous autographs Randy Rhoads ever signed, because it was in the Andrew Klein autobiography on Randy Rhoads. And so Andrew sent me an autographed copy of the book and an unautographed copy of the book. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, you were there with Randy Rhoads." I'm like, it was dumb luck. No skill involved. But I had several things like that. And another unique thing about that symposium is Paul Gilbert sat one seat over from me. And of course, at the time, he was nobody either. The difference is he became somebody, and I'm still here.
All right, so we're going to take our first break. We are going to hear "I Own the Road" by Skip Shaffer and Friends. Is that how you're?
Yeah, that one there was Skip Shaffer and Friends, and the stuff that I do all by myself is just Skip Shaffer.
Okay. And we're also going to hear "Angels on High" that you did with Lenny and other musicians, I'm assuming. But we'll talk about that when we come back.
Cool.
We'll be right back. Hey, Spill, you're tuned into episode 804 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. We just heard I Own the Road and Angels on High. Skip Shaffer and Friends, I guess, for both of those. Is that how you would?
No, the Christmas song was, we dubbed that one the Christmas Experience.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about, there's a whole album of those, right?
Yeah, that was better part of, I think we started that in June. And I remember we recorded that at Lenny's studios. And I remember sitting down there and Lenny goes, people don't realize how hard it is to be in the Christmas spirit and do Christmas songs in June or July or August when it's 90 degrees outside and sweat's running down your back. But that was a long time in the making, and it brought through the door a lot of musicians. I mean, hell, we had a guy that sang in the Russian opera come in and sing a tune. He's out of Greensburg now. He's actually a sheriff there. We had Jimi Hendrix's wife sang a song on there. One of the favorite tracks on there, Lenny's nephew Joey, who was 6 years old at the time, sang Silent Night. And, every year we do the show at the Casino Theater. And, all the talent we had and all the musicians that graced that stage for that Christmas show, Joey got a standing ovation. So, But, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. Fond memories, man.
So I told you ahead of time that I was going to switch over to your website. We're going to do that right now. We're going to take a look.
Okay.
But you have to be descriptive because the people that aren't seeing the video have no idea what we're looking at now. So the website is like less than a week old, correct?
Yeah. I just finally got it up. I had a really hard time connecting the domain name to the server because I didn't do the domain name and host at the same place. But once I got it working,
so
the YouTube embed code was just a bear.
So there are two YouTube videos there, one for I Own the Road and the other one is You're the One. So you guys can go check those out. And then there is a bio of Skip and then a link to YouTube. So that'll get you started down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. Follow the white rabbit. So.
Do you want the red pill or the blue pill?
Yeah. I'd just be a sport and take them both.
So you've written some new music recently and you're working on some other new stuff. You want to take a moment and just take us down that path?
I think when they wrote the bio for me, I think they canned it pretty good because it says that, I write the songs that I live. And, I've always been a road warrior type, clear back from the 70s with my 68 Chevelle Super Sport and blah, blah, blah. I haven't slowed down anyhow. I'm 65 years old last week and just haven't slowed down any. And so, I wrote You're the One, right? And that was for my wife. And I wrote a happy birthday, and that was for my mother-in-law, actually. But, I write these things, and I try to keep them open-ended enough that other people can relate to it. It's a little difficult when you're singing You're the One and then you yell Christine. So it relates to people named Christine, I guess. But I've got...
Dave from the Rumble is hanging out in the chat. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave. So, I have one in the works right now that it's going to be a really cool tune. It's very different, and it's called Get Off My Ass. And within the song, when you think about that phrase, right, first thing that came to my mind was tailgating, because again, I'm the road warrior type. But, you ever have a boss that just wouldn't leave you alone? You ever come home from work and your spouse is nagging or your kids won't leave you alone? And so the song kind of relates to all of that within it. And it's kind of a neat tune. It's not a hard rocker by any stretch, but it's a rocker with a classic feel. I have a song that actually I sent it over to Ed to do some vocal work with called All Eternity. And as we get older, you look into, I don't want to say you look into the abyss, but you know your days are numbered. I mean, they're numbered from the day you're born. But as you get closer, you start to think about it. Have I done the right things in my life? Have I reconciled the mistakes that I've made? And so the song kind of reflects on that sort of thing. It's just a thought provoker, and it's a very melodic, almost Satriani type piece. And when Ed gets back, he's getting remarried, I think, this week or next week. And so when he gets back, we'll put a pin in that one too. But let me see. I have one that's maybe a third of the way done called The Legacy. I have another one called Drifting Away. I've got a tune called Scorpion's Bite, which is kind of patterned after what I feel like Schenker plays like. And so I wanted to do sort of a tribute to the Scorpions because I've always really liked them. And there's another one out there, and the name is escaping me at the moment, but it's actually, in fact, you have a copy of it, Bill, whenever you pull the Reverb site down. But it's a very Scorpions tune, and I say that because it's a reggae rocker, and the only band I ever heard that did reggae metal was the Scorpions, and I really liked it, so that was why I put that feel into that tune. But that's about it. Senility has kicked in now, and I can't remember my own damn songs. Thank God it doesn't happen when I'm playing.
So I'm looking at the music I've queued up, and I was like, why do I have one song in so many places where I usually have two songs? And then I realized that I queued Rhymes of Death by Rat Bastard, which is Phil Martinetti. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, Phil's a good dude.
Well, the song is 10 minutes and 20 seconds long.
Oh.
So that would be why I'm missing a few songs in my playlist. But it's a brand new song. Yeah, it's a little long, but we're going to play it.
Cool.
But that's going to come later. Let me ask you another of my off the wall questions. If you were leaving a recording session and there was a DeLorean sitting outside with its door up in the air and a flux capacitor in the back, where are you going in time, and what band are you going to play with when you get there?
Man, I would definitely go back to the 60s, and I would definitely want to hang out with the Beatles. I mean, what an abundance of talent they had. No weak links. And, it's always kind of bothered me that people always shun Ringo Starr. Oh, Ringo, he didn't belong with those guys, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but let me challenge any drummer out there to go play a continuous shuffle for 3 minutes and 40 seconds and see how well they fare without drifting in time. Because Ringo Starr did it time after time after time. So, not the most creative guy in the world, but my God, he was solid as a metronome.
Well, that's kind of like, the people that bash Lars. He's been in
those
Metallica forever, and
yeah.
he fits.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Metallica, but you remember when Metallica had it out with Napster, and
Yes,
that crazy video came out with him crawling around the screen, going beer good, Napster bad. Oh my God, that's still funny to this day.
well, the thing is, and I bring it up all the time, everyone was so mad at him, but he ended up being right.
Well, he was right. He was right even whenever he said it at the end of the day. And when you look at how the business changed, right? I mean, so back at that time, you were making records and you were selling concert tickets and you were, getting royalties off of your records and CDs and tapes. Those days are gone.
Yep.
I can think of a dozen bands off the top of my head that aren't pressing anything. It's internet download only. And piracy hasn't changed. Napster's no longer around, but let's be fair. The people have these screen capture things. They've got these websites that you can go and you can, pull up the YouTube official video for this song, and it'll rip the audio out of it and save it as an MP3 for you. Piracy has not changed.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting audio echo from somewhere and I can't figure out where. I found it. Hey, so we're gonna no. We're gonna take our second break and we'll be back with Skip. What we're going to hear during that break is another brand new song to the show. from a band called Making State, and the song is called Fanny Pack. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Bill. We are headed back into segment number 3 of the Pennsylvania Rock Show. You just heard Fanny Pack by Making State. With me today is Skip Shaffer. And there he is.
Hey, I'm back.
So the story you were going to tell me off the air, can you tell it on the air? Like, can you clean it up a little maybe?
Well, it doesn't need cleaned up, but the humor is just hysterical. So the song I couldn't think of earlier is called The Carpet Bomb, right? And the carpet bomb is somebody does a drive-by rifting. And so the song itself is about somebody who gets trapped in an elevator that was carpet bombed. So I write the song for my wife, You're the One, and I put it out on Facebook. And about 2 hours later, we get a call from my in-laws. And my father-in-law says, hey, heard the song Skip wrote for you, honey. That was very nice of him, blah, blah, blah. And my mother-in-law gets on the phone and she goes, oh, my God, I love the fart song.
Well, I mean, that's what it's about.
I guess she liked it better. That's funny stuff.
If you could write a song with any songwriter in the history of the world, since you still have a DeLorean, who would you want to write a song with?
Well, I'll tell you that there's a list there. I got to be honest. I think it would be Paul Rogers from Bad Company. Paul. I don't even know if many people know this, right? When Queen lost Freddie Mercury, Paul Rogers was the first guy to step in as his replacement, and I've got some back inroads, if you will, to things that don't get published, and some of the stuff that he creates. I mean, he's every bit as creative as Led Zeppelin as far as how different he can make things and where he can go with things. Listening to 4 and 5 different versions of Johnny Was a Young Boy. My God, I mean, the guy he's so creative, it's unbelievable. In fact, the only writer I know that kind of equals him is Jimmy LaVere. Jimmy can take a song and put 7 different melody lines to it, and you would know which one he liked the best.
I played one of his songs, Hell of a Ride, I played recently.
That's a great tune, man. Utah did that with them, I believe.
Yep, and that's, I was talking to Utah on that episode.
Nice.
So if you could sit down next to one of your musical heroes, first of all, who would it be? And what would be the first question that you would ask them?
If I could sit down with anybody, it would be Randy Rhoads. And the question I would ask is, how much to spend my next 6 years glued to you?
Robert Johnson, little blues history here.
Yeah.
If you're standing at the same crossroads that Robert Johnson sold his soul to the devil at, why are you standing there waiting for the devil?
you wouldn't find me there unless I had some method of execution. So, just being honest with you. I mentioned earlier, writing the song about all eternity, and looking into the abyss and realizing, mistakes I've made throughout my life that I seriously look back and go, what the hell were you thinking? If I was at that crossroad, I would be there with ill intent.
What?
No, you're not allowed to ponder, man. That means you're loading the barrels, and I get real skittish when you do that.
Nah, it's not that bad.
Okay.
So Kiss played in a bay in Australia to Sharks. Metallica and my friend Jazz both played at the South, well, in Antarctica. Jazz played at the South Pole.
Yeah, he did.
Where's a non-standard venue that you would like to play at?
I would like to play the canyon at Sedona. It's just so majestic and breathtaking. I just can't even explain it. I mean, we snowbirded there for a couple of years just because it was unbelievable. And boy, I'll tell you, get out in the middle of that, the roads that take you out through it. You can actually off-road. We went off-roading through some of that. What a great place to have a show. It would be like limitless Woodstock.
So your website, we were on it earlier. I forgot to mention it's digitrackmusic.com, D-I-G-I trackmusic.com. And you mentioned that you kind of opened your studio up to your friends and you do a lot of collaborating. Is there any, are you looking for more collaborators?
Yeah, I mean, the door's open, right? And you've known me for a lot of years, Bill, and your dad's known me even more years. But, I'm very approachable, right? And, I just ask that anybody that comes be respectful, that it's, within my house, and, treat it well, and why not? It's all about a legacy, man. That's why I wrote the song. I'm almost done with the song called "The Legacy" because that's what it's about. At this point, we're building legacies. Whatever we record is for family and friends forever.
How would someone get a hold of you if they wanted to do that?
Digitrackmusic@gmail.com.
Okay, so we have about 2.5 minutes. So I'm going to hit you with a question, and then I'm going to let you throw out anything we haven't covered that you want to cover. The question is, if you were given 30 seconds on national TV to try and bring people to your music, what would you tell them?
If you like classic rock, if you like classic rock that sounds like it was written last week, you need to come and hear what I'm doing.
Is there anything we haven't covered that you want to cover before I throw another crazy question at you?
No, I mean, I have a Reverb Nation up there. It's Reverb Nation, Skip Shaffer and Friends. You can download stuff from there. You can listen to it from there if people don't want to sit through the videos. I apologize for the videos, but I'm no video producer. But I take my time and make the slides match the music. That's all.
We may take a crack at that later. We were having that conversation.
Yeah, I'll take any help you can give me.
All right, so I'm going to throw another question at you. It's got to be quick. We have 1.5 minutes. 4 people, alive or dead, that you would like to bring to dinner and sit at the same table. One has to be a musician.
I don't even know that I can go there, Bill. That list would be so expansive so fast, but I'll tell you a cute story. My wife and I went for our anniversary dinner to this place in Monroeville, and sitting across from us with this person who looked like Jimmy Page. And the waitress came to my table and I said, I know it isn't, but tell me that person doesn't look like Jimmy Page. And she looked at me very serious, and I have this picture. I'll show it to you. She says, it's a lady. I said, no way in hell. I have the picture on my phone. I snuck over to the booth and took a picture. Everybody I show it to says, holy shit, that's Jimmy Page.
Hey, Skip, I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight. And Dave in the chat and anyone else that's hanging out, not chatting with us. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're going to end things with 2 tracks. We're going to hear from Rat Bastard and his over 10-minute long song, Rhymes of Death, which is the title of his new EP. We're also going to hear Iron Brigade and their song Crusader off of their album that was released within the last month. So thanks again, Skip, for hanging out with me.
Hey, Bill, thanks for having me, man. Hope we'll do this again sometime.
You're welcome. Thank you. And for those of you who have been hanging out waiting to find out who's winning tickets, I don't have any tickets to give away tonight. But head to musicfrom412.com/contest and you'll see a updated list of shows that Dresky Entertainment is giving away when I spin a wheel. So with that said, we will catch you next time.
Thanks, Bill. Behave, brother.
Don't forget that Music from 412 has partnered with Dresky Entertainment to have Dresky give away 2 tickets to select shows that they are producing. And it's real simple. All you have to do is go to musicfrom412.com/contest, click on the show you're interested in attempting to win tickets to, and follow the directions. Even though you're giving us an email address, it's only used to tell you that you've won and to contact you about receiving your tickets. Each time a contest is over, we delete all that information and is not used for anything else. So once again, Music from 412 partnered with Dresky Entertainment, giving you free tickets to select Dresky Entertainment shows.